I'll tell you what, I am so excited to be here this morning because I get to talk about something that I am extremely passionate about, and that is excellence. Excellence for me is something I learned as an early Christian, and it is something that I have watched God just kind of grow through the course of years as I have dove into ministry, as I have participated in one event or another. I have seen God's hand work through excellence. Not the bare minimum. I've seen His hand work through. Does it mean that God cannot work when we give what we give? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm hoping by the end of today, you understand a little bit more about excellence and what it really means to serve with excellence. Because as you get the heart to serve with excellence, just like I talked about the heart of a soul winner, it really is a heart issue. And for some of us, we've been serving for a long time, and we get the Mondays, right? We get the Mondays when it comes to serving. Oh yeah, I've done that. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what time I need to leave the house, so I'm just on time, so that I'm not late much. I know exactly how much traffic I can avoid on a particular day. Yeah. I know that if I get up 5 minutes earlier, I can warm that car up. I think it's that speaker. So, what we're talking about this morning is serving with excellence. So, let me dig into this. But before I do, I want to pray. Simple prayer. Father, use me. In Jesus' name. Amen. So, when you look at the word excellence in the dictionary, it has a very succinct meaning, and here it is. It says the state, quality, or condition of excelling superiority. Well, what is excel? Excel is to do better, to do or be better than, surpass, to show superiority, surpass others. So, it almost kind of sounds like we need to be better than everyone else. Is that what I'm saying? And that's kind of what the dictionary is saying, but let's draw something out of this where it talks about being better. So we're not talking about we need to compete with other Christians. The competition more is about yourself than me competing with Paul. Right? Paul Deason, an artist. If him and I were to engage in a contest to see which of us could be the better artist, I might go to my briefcase and whip out something like this and say, you know what, I know I can draw better than Paul because I drew this. Pretty impressive. Now, Paul, however, good try, brother. Good try. Let me show you what I can do. And in just a few brief strokes, he whips out something, and it's got color, it's got depth, it's got all the things that artists know to do with it. But my little 2D dimensional drawing here doesn't give a whole lot. I mean, it's got some detail. It got a little bit going on there. But this is about the best I can do. I'll be honest with you. Is my best in competition with his best? No. So that's where I want us to be careful. We're not talking about competing with one another. We're talking about giving our very best. I'm glad that was in there. Honestly, that just popped right up to me. So, thanks, Paul. You know what it was? I saw his smile, and his smile said, hey, use him as an example right now. So, thanks, Paul. All right, so let's move on. I caught this awesome author, Brian Harbour. He wrote a book called Rising Above the Crowd. And in that book, he does a little comparison between success and excellence. And I thought this was really good. I think this kind of really hits where we're going today. So let me read a couple of his quotes. He says this: success means being the best. How many of you agree with that? Success is being the best. To whatever level if you know that you are going to succeed in this world, you already know automatically, without even having to put a biblical aspect behind it, you know that you have to do the very best. And now, when it comes to success, this is where I see we do have to compete with others. But let's continue on. He goes on to say, however, excellence means being your best. So is there a difference between doing your best and being your best? What do you think? Mull over that for a moment. Let me read you another quote of his. He says, success to many means being better than everyone else. Again, I don't disagree with his quote because it does require us to get a little bit better. But again, I like to look at things from what God says. And so he goes on to say, however, excellence means being better tomorrow than you were yesterday, or being better today than you were yesterday. That's excellence. And one more quote of his, success means exceeding the achievements of other people, but excellence means matching your practice, and I love this, with your potential. Are you matching your practices with your potential? I think all of us could kind of take a little self-examination. I do this on a daily basis, sometimes hourly, and I examine myself. Am I giving my best? Am I saying the best? Am I doing the best? And quite often I'm a little disappointed in myself, but that's okay. That means I'm in a good place. If I don't question myself, if I don't examine myself, and if I don't ask the questions, can I do a little bit better? Can I treat someone a little more positively? Can I be a better encourager? If I stop asking that question, or if my answer to that question is, nah, I'm doing the best I can do, then I'm falling into a dangerous place, right? And I think it's good for all of us to constantly ask ourselves, are we giving God our very best? So, biblically speaking, the pursuit of excellence refers to pursuing and doing the best we can with the gifts and abilities that God has given us. Paul, I'm going to go back to him again. Paul, examine yourself. So I'm using Paul right now, but I'm also speaking to all of us, including myself. Evert, are you using the best gifts you have available for the kids of this church? Are you giving it your all? Or are you just waiting till Saturday night and throwing a little something together and to be like, they're kids, they'll get it. And if they don't, it's over their head anyway. Or do I prepare myself through the week because I know it's my turn to teach? Do I prepare myself? Do I get materials together? Have I worked out the game? Have I gotten my message together? Have I made sure the message wasn't too long? Because if it's too long, then you lose them. Have I put enough stuff in there for kids to actually do? Because kids learn through play. It doesn't mean playing dodgeball. It means they learn through activity. They learn by doing. See, a kid can sit and listen for a short period of time. Us adults, we can listen a little bit longer, but I still feel we learn more by doing. So I'm not going to be long today. In fact, I'm almost wrapping up this part because I want to get really into the practicality. That's really what today is all about. Let's talk about the doing. Excellence includes doing common everyday things, but in a very uncommon way, regardless of whether people notice it or not. I love what the lady said in the If Gathering video that we just saw. She said that we need to be doing stuff that nobody is watching us do. I know I'm misquoting a little bit, but it goes along those lines, right? She said, we need to be excellent in those things that nobody's really watching. Because, see, when people are watching, then it's easy for us to put on our best. It's easy for us to put on the smile. It's easy for us to put some nice clothes on, shower, do all that stuff. But when nobody's watching, are you still showering, putting on your best, putting the smile on? When nobody is looking. Because when you think nobody's looking, we got to remember God is still looking. I know that's a very simple thing to say, but it's very true. We quite often forget that. It's so easy for us, especially in today's society, when we want to be successful. It's so easy for us to compare ourselves from one to another. But God's not asking us to be successful. God's asking us to be excellent. Doing better. Doing better every single time. Give Him your best, not your leftovers. I was going to bring an illustration today, and I explained the illustration to Kim, and she went, huh? I don't get it. So that automatically tells me, don't bring that in. What I was going to do was bring in a candy bar, and I was going to take a big old whopping bite out of that thing, and I was going to rewrap it, and I was going to give it to somebody in the audience and say, go ahead, enjoy the candy bar. I'm going to keep right on teaching. And I'm going to go back to teaching, and they're going to open up, they're probably going to wait a little while because they're like embarrassed. Then I'm going to look at, no, open the candy bar now, eat now. And they're going to open it up, and they're going to see this big whopping bite out of it because I take a big bite. I'm not going to lie. I got a big mouth. That's right. That's right. If I'm going to bite somebody's candy bar, I'm going to bite it well. So I was trying to think, how can I make that illustration really hit the point here? Am I giving the best I can give when I give a person a bit off candy bar? It's like, it's not even giving you leftover. It's giving you, okay, I'm going to stop right there because I'm just getting grossed out. Let me move on. 1 Corinthians 15:58, it says this. So then, dear brothers and sisters, be firm. Do not be moved. Emphasis of mine. Always be outstanding. Now, this is from the Amplified, so it expounds on that a little bit. Outstanding is abounding, doing over and above, excelling in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain. That was 1 Corinthians 15:58. In the Amplified, it says, abounding, doing over and above, excelling. Right? So again, we go back to this. Are you giving your best? Are we doing our best for God? I love this scripture in Matthew. I'm going to have you turn here. Oh, sorry about the mic thing. Turn to Matthew chapter 25. And I'm going to be looking at verse 34. Verse 34, Matthew 25. I love hearing the pages rustling. That means people brought their Bible. Or I don't mind seeing the little lights going too, because they're looking through their app to get to that. So here we go. 34. In this little bit of passage, the title here is the final judgment. So you keep in mind that Jesus is speaking to disciples. He's speaking to those who have already made this choice to follow him. And he's expounding on what's going to happen in the final judgment. I love this part here. It says, 34. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Stop. Pretty common passage here, right? We've all heard this at least once, I'm sure. This is the part I really love, the next verse. Watch this. It says, then the righteous will say, Lord, when did we do all these things? Now I'm going to paraphrase for a moment. When did we feed you? When did we give you drink? When did we do this? Well, blah, 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 blah. When? See, I think that a person who has a heart of excellence, that pursues after excellence, for them, feeding someone who is hungry or giving someone who is thirsty a drink or clothing someone who is naked, it's not a should I do it, it's when can I do it? How often can I do it? And am I giving my very best? See, that's what excites me about that particular verse, because it says the righteous said, when did we do this? It was almost like, what? When did we feed you, Jesus? And we know Jesus' answer. He says, when you did it for the least, you did it for me. So that automatically tells us that when we serve others, whether it's inside the church, outside the church building, then we are serving Jesus. How many of you agree with that? Okay, good. Because if you agree with that, then everything else I have to say from this point on will mean total sense. And you should walk out of here treating things a little bit differently. At least I believe that's the challenge, because that's the challenge to me. As I was preparing and praying over this, I've been asking myself 100 times this past week, am I really giving my best? Even at the job I do for Portable Church Industries, I even had to question myself, because not only do we, my job is I have to put hardware on the cases. I get a case that's been carpeted, so it's a plain case. My job is to attach all the hardware and make the case functional. I attach the doors, I put on the casters, so now the case is a lot more functional. Then my next task is to shelve a case, in other words, so that all the equipment can go into the case. Because without the shelves, the equipment there's nowhere for it to go, and it becomes this useless pile that someone would have to work through every single time they wanted to use this case. So that's my next job. Now, I could just do a good job and just quickly put shelves in there, but I don't do that. I do my best job. I put the shims in place, I pound everything, and before I put that first screw in, I have checked and double-checked and sometimes triple-checked myself before the first screw goes in. Once the first screw goes in, then I go to the other side and I double-check, triple-check that before that screw goes in, and then before I do the back and so on and so forth. Every single shelf goes in this way. I have a pattern. I have a method so that I do not miss a screw, because every shelf gets at least 16 screws. It's easy to miss a screw. I want to make sure that when they put that heavy equipment on that shelf, that it doesn't go crashing below. It's functional. So I ask myself, am I doing my best? Am I giving the very best? The other function I serve as one of the leaders of the team is I have to check cases that are complete. And then I have to do the final inspection to make sure that it meets our standard, our quality. And as David alluded to, that's our minimum. Quite often I will go to a guy and say, hey, listen, you did a really good job on this, this, and this, and this. But let me show you one more thing to help you do your job even better. And so they'll look at me like, whoa, I'm not getting scolded? No. I want you to do your job the best you can. And the reason why I do this is because I remember my first week on this job, one of the other employees, he came up to me because he was another excellence guy. I knew he was an excellence guy because he asked me the first week, he says, hey, Evert, are you praying over this case as you're hardwaring this case? I looked up at him like, what? What do you mean praying over this case? I've never heard anyone in a shop environment say, are you praying over this equipment? No, it didn't even dawn on me, to be honest with you. But as soon as he said it, I'm like, I shouldn't I? Because these cases go all over the world now, and these cases help churches launch in facilities where you don't normally would see a church. So, yes, now I pray. And you know what? Our team prays. Because our team is learning that excellence is better than minimum. Our team is learning that we need to give our very best. And you know what? A customer may never see the excess glue that's on the top of the case. But when I inspect the case, I run my hand over the top. And if I can feel the glue, then there's glue there. And the glue has to go. Because who knows? Maybe some customer one day is pushing a case instead of pulling the case like they're supposed to. And they've got their hand up there. Ugh, what is that? Right? I don't want them to feel that. So my excellence says, no. Only the best will go. And our bosses, they appreciate that, and our customers appreciate that. So I'm going to give my very best, no matter what. Now, do I sometimes fail? Yes. I'd be a liar if I stood up here and told you, no, I don't. Have I had off days? Yes. Have I had days where I've had to work a night shift and come in during the day shift and not had my first cup of coffee? Absolutely. So, but the idea here is strive for excellence. I'm going to skip this next part because don't need to talk about it. This part, however, the pursuit of excellence is a heart issue. Deuteronomy 6, chapter 6, verses 4 and 5 says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your might. The verse doesn't say anything about some. It doesn't say anything about little. It says all. Every bit, right? I think we can all agree that all is all. It's not partial. So it's a heart issue for us. When we seek after God, when we want to serve God, and like the men who had the opportunity, the privilege to go to the Philippines, they had plenty of time to serve. Am I right, guys? You had plenty of challenges to step into. And I'm sure not one of you went in there like, I'm just going to give the least amount I can do and just hope God blesses it. No, I know from the quality of men who went that these men pursue excellence and that they did every task that was asked of them without complaining, without grumbling. And I can't wait to hear next week when they get to come up here and talk all about it. I'm in anticipation of hearing some of the really awesome things. And I'm so jealous of the wives who have already heard and the families who have already had a chance to have that debrief with them. But anyways, I'll get over it. You know. Who am I? Jesus says the same thing. He says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. So these passages, they tell us that it's really about a heart. And when it comes to the heart, isn't it really our attitude? See, our heart is, our attitude leads some of that, doesn't it? So you got to just ask yourself this question very simply. Am I serving the Lord or am I serving man? Because once you ask yourself that question, it kind of helps you to really turn it back around and start doing things the way you really want to do them. Because I believe deep down as a Christian, we really do want to give our best. I just think we get tired. I think we get tired, and I think we get to a point sometimes where it's like, is what I'm doing, does it really matter? Can I challenge you to stop asking that question? Because it's an easy question to ask, and that's the one that the enemy, he wants you to stay focused on. He wants you to think that, you know what, just because you serve in the nursery, just because you're holding those little babies, you're not doing anything. I beg to differ. Because I know a child needs comfort and nurturing. And a child that young needs to be held. And I challenge our nursery workers, when you're holding that baby, you don't have to say a prayer out loud. But as you're holding that baby tender, as you're holding that baby close to you, that baby is getting comfort. Have you ever seen a mom, a first-time mom, just beside herself? She doesn't really know what to do, and she's holding the baby like this, and she's on her last nerve. She's not shaking the baby. She just doesn't know how to hold. Right now, she has no comfort to give. Have you ever witnessed a situation like that? It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Because all that baby needs is comfort right now, and that baby needs to be held. Have you ever held an animal when you're upset, aggravated, angry? Can that animal not sense that? I believe they can. I believe when I hold my cat knows I'm in total peace, that she is in loving, caring arms. I can't say grandbaby because they're not close, but when I hold the grandbaby, they know that too. I can use the cat example because it's every day. My cat sits in the window. As soon as she sees me walking towards the front door, she meets me by the front door. She plops down and meows and just does all this stuff here, and she won't stop until I come up to her and give her a little comfort. She needs to feel Daddy's hand. And then whenever I'm relaxing in my recliner, she knows the best place to be is right here. And if I'm working on the computer, she knows the best place is right here. Now, that's not always the right time, and she learns that very quickly because let's go. I got to do something, But very quickly she comes back and she's looking for some love and attention. And I'm happy to give it to her because I just love my cat. And I love when people understand that holding a baby It's love. It's not just a task that I do. Moving on. All right. So, now, enough with all that. Let's get into some practicalities, right? I brought a bag with me. And to help really hit home this illustration of doing our best, how many of you have ever had an opportunity to help someone who is homeless? Okay, and if you haven't, it's maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. Okay? However, I was thinking of this, and I have helped homeless on several occasions, and especially during this time of the year, what do they need? They need hats and gloves, don't they? Quite often they lose them, they're ragged and torn, and how many of you believe that if I went and bought a pair of, if I went into my closet like I did this morning, and I found a really good pair of gloves and a nice hat, that would be a gift that they would appreciate? I believe all of us would say, yeah, hey. So I went to my closet, and I'm going to give this to a homeless person. Right? Now, as I'm driving to the place where I know a homeless guy hangs out all the time, singing my Jesus song, I'm going to serve today. Right? I'm all happy because I got something to bring. All of a sudden, I hear that still, quiet voice. Is that your best? Where did you get that hat and gloves? Well, I no longer wear it. I've got some really nice gloves. They're thermal lined, and these gloves were nice, but they're not as nice as the new ones I have. And I used to wear this hat a lot, but I don't wear it anymore. Okay, I get it, Lord. Am I really giving my best by giving the homeless person my handouts, my throwaways? Because to be honest with you, if my wife threw this away, I wouldn't miss them. If my wife donated it to the Salvation Army or one of the places that we like to donate stuff, I wouldn't miss it because I don't wear it anymore. Is this my best? So I got to thinking about that. Nope, that's not my best. You know what? I need to go a step further. I need to make it a gift worth giving. And so I decide I'm going to go to the store, and I'm going to find a decent hat and a decent pair of gloves. And you know what? I don't want to just give it to him. I want to wrap it. I want it to be something special, something unusual, right? Now, how many of you think, hey, I'm getting on the right track now? How many of you think this is certainly better than this, right? Which, A or B? Come on, A, B. Yeah, right, B, much better. And so now I'm singing my happy song again. Woohoo! Yes, Lord, I heard your voice, and now I'm on my way. Is that your very best? Turn the car back around. Guess what? Okay, this is good. This is certainly way better than this. I thought I was doing really good with this. But God's not asking me, am I doing good? God's not looking for me to do another task for Him. He's not looking for me to fill a need. See, in filling the need, we should be able to still do our best. And so I got to thinking some more. No, this is not my best. I mean, look at this wrapping job. I mean, the edges are not nice and crisp. I mean, I know this homeless person would get this, and they might even swell up with a little tear. Like, that's for me? Gee, thanks. Normally, I'm used to people just throwing stuff at me out the window. But you actually walked up to me to give me a gift? That's pretty cool. Thanks. I'm like, open it. I think they would still be excited. How many of you agree with that? I do too. I really do. But you know what? That's not my best. Father, I can do better. And so now, I'm doing better. Look at this. This is my best. This really is my best wrapping. When I do a gift for someone really special and I really want them to know that I put a little time into this. I mean, this one took me a matter of a minute maybe. This one took me about 5-6 minutes. Because you know what? I was concerned about every crease. And in fact, on the back here, even this line is folded over and nice. It's not that little edge where you see a little bit of white. Here, I made sure every edge was folded neatly. Not just crumpled together and folded and, yeah, there you go. That's what I did here. Can you see the difference in the edges? That's nice, right? See, now, this is truly my best wrapping. Now, I'm not really that great at the ribbon, but I know someone who is really good at ribbon. And I still want to give my best. And so I got her advice, and she told me exactly how to do this. Boom, look at that. Isn't that nice? This is my best. And you know what? On here, I didn't even take the time to give them a little to and from card, but on here, we have a nice, beautiful, handcrafted, homemade one. Now I can personalize it. I can make it very special. Because now, as I'm driving, I'm not singing the song. Because I'm not proud of what I did. Now, I'm thinking, Lord, use this. Use this in a mighty way. By the way, I decided to go one step further. I decided, you know what, they can use the hat and gloves, but they can also use a little bit more. So how about if I go get some gift cards to Tim Hortons, because I know where they kind of park at. They're close to Tim Hortons and they're close to McDonald's. So I get some Tim Horton gift cards and I get some McDonald's gift cards and I put them in there. Because I don't feel at peace just giving them cash. I understand where they're at, but I had great peace in knowing that by giving them gift cards, it's something they can use. It's not something they can sell off, and you know, I know that this gift is something they can use now. And now I decide I got to go even a step further. If I'm going to give my very best, I'm going to give my very best. I'm not just going to pass it to them as I'm walking by. I'm going to intentionally walk up to them, introduce myself, and say, this is a free gift for you. And then I'm going to wait for them to open it because I'm going to encourage them, please open it. This is something you can use right now. And as they open it, I know how God works. I've seen Him do that so many times. See, when we give our best, hearts, stone hearts, begin to melt. And stone hearts become a heart of flesh. And a stone heart becomes a heart that you can now speak to. In clowning ministry, they teach you one thing. If you can get people to laugh, then you can start reaching them. Until you get them to laugh, you're just a goofy-looking guy standing up there. But once you get them to laugh and engage, once you begin to crush the stone so that the heart begins to pump again and see life, then you have opportunity to make a difference. See, this is a simple, practical way to engage in someone's life and make a huge difference. I got hundreds of these kind of ideas that we could do, things that I could share with you, but I don't think I need to because I'm going to challenge you. What is your very best? What's the next thing that you can do, whether at your job or when you serve here at this church? I think the one thing that we are challenged with here in this gathering, because we know so many people here, and there are so many family connections here, that it's easy for us to say, oh, I know Ray. He's okay if I'm not opening up the door for him. He can open up the door himself, right? I know Ray. But at that moment, when you're serving in your position of ministry on that day, it's not just Ray anymore. Ray is a guest to this house. And as a servant, giving your best is serving no matter who walks through the door. Whether we know them as a longtime friend, and in fact, in my eyes, if they're a longtime friend, all the better to serve them greater. Because it just shows again how much you care. It shows how much you are intentional about serving with excellence. I'm going to talk about a couple more practical things, and then I'm going to close in prayer. I want to close with a challenging prayer, one that I've challenged myself to this whole week because it's been an exciting week. It really has. I've seen God answer some wonderful prayers, things that pastors and I have been praying about for quite a long time. I'll share with you this little bit. My son Kyle, we've been praying for him for quite some time. And man, I've just really watched recently as God has been doing some changing in his life and kind of really molding him and drawing him back to himself. And the exciting thing is, Kim and I agreed from the beginning when he started wavering from what he was brought up in. We said from the beginning, we're not going to hound him, we're not going to shout at him, we're not going to yell at him. We're going to love him. And we're going to let God do what God does better than I could ever do. Through any counseling, through any amount of talking to my son, God is a much better consultant than I am. So, we just simply loved on him. We simply dropped him a card every now and then and say, hey, son, love you, praying for you. Praying for that fine young lady that you have asked to be your wife. So they're engaged. They're getting married in October. We're excited and looking forward to seeing even more changes of where God's taking them. But again, serving with excellence, serving with the heart or the pursuit of excellence means you really have to get outside of yourself. Examine yourself first. So, here are a couple other things. Secret sisters. Kim and I have never heard of secret sisters before we ever came here. In fact, I remember the first time Missy started talking about secret sisters, and Kim was asked, are you going to be a part of it? She's like, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it. And so this past, was it last weekend? Yeah, last weekend, the Secret Sisters had a big gathering, and for those of us men who have no clue what it is, or maybe even some ladies who are sitting here, Secret Sisters is a group where the ladies draw names of different ladies from the church, and they do acts of encouragement, little gifts, and it's all done in secret. So Missy may draw somebody's name, but that person has no idea that it's coming from Missy, unless they really know how Missy wraps things. Now that I've shown you that this is my best, and all of a sudden a gift like, oh, that's Evert, okay? Unless, they know someone so well, but the premise just blew me away. I'm like, this is wonderful. And I can imagine, Missy, if we had time, I'd love to bring you up here and have you give some testimony about the results of that. Was it incredible? Were there tears going on? Because I know, ladies, when you were revealed who was your secret sister, who that lady was who has given you cards or little gifts, I'm sure some of you were just like, wow, that was you? How did you know I needed this at that moment? How did you know? I love Pastor Dave. He very frequently will send out a message through text to a bunch of us and just say, hey, guys, praying for you. I have never told you this, Pastor Dave, but every time you send one of those and I read it, man, it is at the right moment. It's at the right moment. I needed that encouragement. You would not believe how far encouragement and just loving on one another goes. So, I got to thinking about this and asking God, wow, Secret Sisters, they're doing a phenomenal job inside of the church. And by no means am I saying this is what needs. This is just what God was showing me. What if each one of you ladies on your own took this same concept to your home, and you see a neighbor who's really down and discouraged, or just someone who's going through some hard times? What if you took this same premise and you did the same thing? What if you decided to write a card anonymously? Don't tell them who you are, because that's the whole point. Anonymously write a card to your neighbor or maybe a coworker and say, just want to encourage you. Maybe you took the time to make a homemade card. Or maybe you took a lot of time to find just the right card in the store because that's your best. But whatever you do, give your best, right? And what if over a period of time you continue to do this, whatever time frame you decide is necessary, and then one day you say, hey, would you want to come over to my house for a cup of coffee? I want to share something with you. They come to your house and you reveal to them. You know all those gifts that you've been getting for this past couple weeks? I'm the one who's been giving you those gifts. And I can just imagine sitting there as an observer, kind of off to the side. I can imagine seeing this person having tears welling up and maybe a smile on their face like, really? But why? Why did you do this? And you can simply say, because God told me. You don't have to go there memorizing a whole bunch of scripture verses, but by simply saying, I did this out of love because God told me. You know, God loves you. And even if you just leave it at that, I'm pretty sure, because again, I've been walking with God a long time. He's pretty funny about this. He doesn't let stuff like that just kind of go under the rug, does he? No. I'll bet you it opens up conversation. It begins a relationship that may not have ever been there. And you have an opportunity greater than you ever had by a simple card, a simple word of encouragement, a simple gift. But is it your best? Now, are we talking about going broke? Trying to do this? No, give your best. Tim, one of my coworkers, this guy is phenomenal with wood. He just loves making wood stuff, right? Another coworker of mine, Brandon, he loves making wood. I'm telling you, every time I turn around, this guy's working on another wood project. These guys encourage me to work on wood projects too. But anyways, Tim was showing me something he wanted to give his mom and dad for Christmas, and I was like, awesome. I'm like, because it was a simple concept that he did with excellence out of love and care for his parents. His parents loved to do puzzles, and he made them this beautiful little puzzle. Am I lying? I mean, it had little drawers, and the drawers were lined, and I'm like, it had this little table thing that came up so that you didn't have to go like this. I'm like, dude, I want one of those, right? I'm telling you, it was gorgeous. Tim gave his best. And I've watched Brandon, my coworker, when he makes projects, he gives his best. Wow, I'm telling you, I've never seen anyone put such hard work into a guitar. But this guy worked endless hours, and he built a guitar. I was like, it's like probably one of the best guitars I've ever seen. I don't know how it plays. I'm not a musician guy, so forgive me there. But the quality, he gave his best. And I'll tell you, I know he gave his best because there are parts of it that messed up. And you know what? He's like, nope, I'm not letting it go. He tore it apart, started from scratch, and did it till he got it right. You have a gift, a talent, whatever your gift or talent is, use it, but give your best. Don't hold back. Give your very best. In a very short time now, we're going to be starting up small groups. Here is a practical way of giving your very best. Now you can open up your homes and invite people outside of the church to come and participate in a non-churchy environment. Okay? Let's be real. A lot of people are not coming to the church, but they'll be happy to come visit you at your home, have coffee with you, maybe have a few little light snacks, and engage in conversation with you, face-to-face, one-on-one, in a smaller gathering, where it's not so, oh, well, I don't get to say anything in the big church. But that's kind of true, right? That's kind of the way America Church has made it. You sit, someone speaks. If you have a question, text us later. Right? Or, catch the pastor when he's out in the hallway and try to hound him. Pastor, at this point you did, or whatever the case may be. But in the small group setting, it's not really the method can change based on the group. How you do it will be based on the people who can come to your house. Maybe you're not the one who will open up your house, but you'll be someone who visits someone else's house. Think of this. I've been a part of many small groups, and the most impactful thing that I have seen in groups, and the job I had prior to this, I was a small groups pastor, so I was privileged to hear a lot of testimonies from a lot of different groups. What worked, what didn't work, what do we need to scrap, what do we need to build on, blah, 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 right? However, the most successful groups, it wasn't the material that was covered. It was what they did as a group. It was how they interacted as a group. It was the freedom for people who didn't know the Bible to be able to ask questions. And the freedom for a leader who did not know all the answers to the questions, say, hey, I don't know the answers, but you know what? Let me get back to you. Authentic, real, giving your very best. Because see, in that situation, not giving your best might have looked something like this. Hey, I'm a little confused about, why God did this to so-and-so. Can you tell me? Well, brother, let me say, it is in my humbled opinion that this is the reason why, and I'm going to back it up with this and this and this and this and this. When you have no clue. Is that your very best? No, it's better to say, I don't know. I struggle with the same question. Together, let's examine it. Together, let's pour through what God says. And together, let's learn. Together, let's grow. Honestly, that's true discipleship. You can't get true discipleship with one guy standing up here yippering at you for an hour. True discipleship happens face to face, one-on-one. And that's where we want to go with this church, true discipleship. But even greater than that, here, and I'm going to go one step further because here's the really practical thing that happens in small groups. Bill and I had a great luncheon last week, and him and I were recalling some of our most favorite moments from small groups. And he shared with me, with his small group, they decided to go to a nursing home. And as a group, they served at that nursing home. In whatever capacity the nursing home requires, but they served. And then I said, you know what, Bill, yeah, I remember one time our group, we went to my community where I live, and in my neighbor, we all got together and we raked my neighbor's leaves. And we climbed up on his roof because he had tons of leaves up there. I didn't climb up there, not me. That would not have been my best. I would have done more destruction than help. However, someone climbed up there, much smaller than myself, who could handle the weight, and they got the leaves off. But I helped bag those leaves. And I helped clean out the shrubs. I got my hands down and dirty with my fellow small group people. And out of that, because we did that together, wow, your group grows. And I don't mean necessarily in numbers, but your group grows together. And a community is formed. Lives are transformed. No one's the same since. Bill shared with me even a year after that small group left, they were still talking about it. When they would pass in the hallways, hey, Bill, hey, man, I had such a great time in that. When are we going to be able to do that again? And I've had people do the same thing with me. So in your small groups, it's not going to be just about, let's talk about the Bible. That is going to happen. That's number one thing. But over and above that, what's your best? Because really the goal here is to draw people in, disciple them, and then help them to go out. That's what Jesus commanded us to do. He said, go. I love at the beginning of the year, Missy said, this is the year of go. I'm going to resound with Missy with a loud trumpet. Go. This is the year to go. Let's stop sitting on our duffs and make a commitment this year that we're going to do better than we did last year. We're going to do more. No, let me take that. Better than last year. I'm not going to tell you better means more, because it doesn't. Because then we run the risk of, well, I'm not doing enough for God. God doesn't ask you to do more. He asks you to do your best with what He gives you to do. Do your best. That's it. Louise Trott, Pastor Dave, and I've only got two more. Please bear with me. Louise Trott heads up Samaritan's House. This is another one of those practical ways. I appreciate the fact that Dave brought up the fact that we were supplying outdated stuff. And, it really convicted a lot of people. It really helped them to examine, wow, am I giving my best? And that's, that's kind of the premise of where I got this. Is this my best? Or is this my best? Lord, help me to endeavor to always give my best. Yeah, I know sometimes I'm gonna miss the mark. But my pursuit is not minimum. It's not the minimum requirement. My pursuit is the best of what I can offer. He even mentioned during offering, he's like, okay, yeah, the tenth. The tenth is that's our minimum. That's already God's. If we get this mindset that everything we have is already God's, then, and we understand we're stewards over it, are we going to be the best stewards over everything God gives us or not? You can struggle with the whole idea, do I have to give a tenth or not? God's asking for your best. He's asking for your best. If your best is only $5 a week, then praise God, that's the best. Even Jesus praised the widow who came with her less than 2 pennies. What she gave was 2 coins, but it was less than half, I think it was half a penny. Correct me if I'm wrong. Half a penny. Worth less than half a penny. But Jesus praised her for it. She gave her best. And why was he down on all the other guys who were bringing their bags of money? Was it because they were bringing money? Was he down about that? Did he have an issue with them because they brought money? Maybe they brought their tenth. Maybe they brought what was required. He wasn't against that. He's like, look, she brought of everything she had. These guys just brought their offering. Again, are we giving our best? I'm not going to stand up here and tell you, you must do this or you must do that. I'm saying, examine yourself and give your best. I don't make my living off of what I receive from the church. I make my living off of the job that I do outside of the church. I'm blessed and honored to receive anything. But I'll be honest with you, if you couldn't afford it, I'd still do it. I really would. So I'm not called to get a paycheck. I'm called to serve God. I'm called to serve where He asks me to serve. And on days where I get to stand before you, not the little wee ones, but the bigger wee ones, I'm so humbled by it. I am. It's a privilege for me to stand here and share with you my heart and share what I believe God really wants us all to get. Myself first. I think any preacher who doesn't tell you that his message is speaking more to him than it is to you, he'd be a liar. Am I right, Dave? Yes. And so that's it. I'm done. How about that? Thank you, Jesus. It's always nice when you get to the end of the notes, like, what, no more? Yes, no more, please. We've sat long enough. So here's the challenge. 2017. Come on up, guys. Get ready. 2017. We're going to make it a good year because we're going to give it our best. Again, I resound what Missy said at the beginning of the year. Go! Hey, I heard that reverb. Thank you. Go. Let God use you in a mighty way this year. And I'm going to challenge you. Think outside of the box. I'll tell you, this little illustration right here got me thinking outside of the box. And I'm not trying to play a pun on words here, but honestly, for many situations, this is what I have done for homeless people. I've gone to my closet, I found something I didn't need anymore, and I gave it. And I walked away thinking, woohoo, did my Christian duty. They're blessed because of me. But God has challenged me. They're not blessed. You're blessed. You're the one who got more out of that than that person. Because to them, all they got from you was what they get from every other person who passes them on the streets, who sees their sign, will work for food or whatever sign they have. All you've done is thrown them a little alms. That's it. You've not done anything significant. Can I challenge you to do something significant? Do something that is your very best. And I think you'd be surprised when you talk to some homeless guys, and I have. I remember one time I used to have to ride the bus back and forth, and a homeless guy got on, and man, he was reeking. Really bad. And people where he sat got up and started moving. I mean, like almost like a bomb had gone off, and they couldn't get away fast enough. And I sat there and I endured the smell. And I guess number one, maybe I was a little embarrassed to get up. I didn't want to follow what everyone else was doing, and it kind of embarrassed me that everyone showed such disgust of this guy. And I'm thinking, man, that's a man. We don't know how he got there. I didn't do a whole lot. I just said hi. Honestly, that was my best at the moment. I was a young guy. I didn't know what to do. I certainly had no verses to tell him. I had no words of encouragement. I simply just said hi. He was so taken back at me actually talking to him. He didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. And when I got up, because my stop was next, I said, "Have a nice day." I didn't know what else to do. All I knew is that deep down inside, what everyone else done was not the right thing to do. What everyone else did, showing such disgust. And yeah, the guy smelled real bad. I can remember this pungent smell so many years ago. Give our best. Let me pray. Father, I pray that these words of yours just really dig deep down into our souls and challenge us in greater ways than we have ever been challenged. Lord, even more so than being challenged, Lord, I pray that all of us see the fruit, because the fruit will encourage us to do more for you. Not necessarily more, but better. It will encourage us and show us that, Lord, you truly do love your people. You love the people that are here at this church, but you also love the people who are not here at this church. You love those who are destitute, those who are blind, those who can't hear, those who can't work. And you love those who are just lazy and don't want to work. You still love them. They're still made and created in your image. Help us, Father, to take the blinders off of our eyes and see them as you see them. I pray, Father, as I prayed many years ago, Lord, give me a heart like your heart. Give me hands like your hands. Give me eyes like your eyes. Give me ears like your ears. Because, Lord, I want to hear their pain. I want to hear their hurt. Lord, give me the right words to say to be an encouragement or a comfort. Lord, give me the hands to do, not just say, but do. Help me to put my faith into action. Help us all to put our faith into action. Help us all to strive for excellence. Help us no longer be satisfied with the minimum requirement. Help us as you have already called us. The reason why Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were better, and the Bible says they were 10 times better than everyone else in that land, is because they gave their best. They pursued you. They didn't pursue man. They didn't follow the crowd. They followed you. They gave their very best. Lord, I examine myself and say, Lord, am I giving my best? Because if I'm not, I don't want to give it at all. As David said, King David said, I'll not come to you without a sacrifice of praise. If it doesn't hurt me to give, then I'm not going to give. The challenge here is don't hurt yourself. Give your best. Give your best. And Lord, we just want to honor you in everything we do, everything we say. Let it be pleasing in your sight. And Lord, let lives be transformed and changed because of what you do through us and in us. It's in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.